Hey guys, Kev here, and I want to do rapid reviews of 4 knives. Now, this one's going to be more of an overview slash whatever, because it's my knife, my design with Colin, my company. It's stupid to review my own thing. I just want to go over it, basically. And then this is actually a full lefty knife, and then this is a ambidextrous knife, so it's kind of cool. We got pretty much lefty-friendly stuff here. Yeah, we got lefty-friendly stuff here. So let's rip into the stout real quick. I know some of you guys are rolling your eyes. I've seen enough of this. I know. But it is my brand. I just want to talk about it briefly. So I've had these production versions now for a couple weeks, and I've been carrying them pretty much daily. I mean, I have been carrying some stuff for review. I've swapped them out. I've carried other knives with them. But I've basically had one of these two in my pocket at all times. Mostly this one, because it's kind of like my user one. And I've gotten so much tape on this thing, it's insane. But KPL Knife Shield knocks that right off. This is the Black Micarta version with bead blasted bolsters, satin hardware. I swapped it out for a Lynch Northwest wire clip replacement clip. You can do that. Rips Garage Tech clips fit as well. This has a Stonewash 20 CV blade. If you want to know where the steel marking is, it's under this scale right here. Otherwise, this knife is sterile except for the logo on the pivot, but it does come with an extra set of hardware with a blank pivot if you, or unbranded, I should say, if you don't like that. You're rocking T8 hardware all the way around on this guy. One cool thing about this knife in general is that all of the body screws except the clip screws are the same. So the screw holding in this side of the inlay, this side of the inlay, the insert screw, and there's 2 screws underneath on each side that hold the frame together. Those are all the same exact screw, and you get an extra set of hardware with the knife, so you have a ton of extra hardware in there in case you strip out screws over time or whatever, and you get another 2 of the clip screws as well. You get all the barrels, pivot barrel, you get a steel insert extra, you get an extra clip, and you get an extra stop pin, which is an internal stop pin. So you'd have to hammer it out, but you could do it. This has obviously a hole for deployment. It is meant to be reverse flicked. When I drew this up initially, it was basically a knife I wanted to be able to reverse flick and get right into a nice choked up grip so I can utilize that low tip. Now, you can thumb flick it. There's absolutely no problem thumb flicking it, at least for me, especially right-handed because you got a lot of room here. You just flick it out. Yes, you can kind of lock it up with the lock bar with the right-handed thumb flick, but I mean, it's pretty covered up with the bolster lock. But I would say it's very easy to thumb flick. Left-handed, it works as well. You just have to, you have a little less room, just go a little lower, flick it out. You can easily slow roll this out. That's one thing we really like about it is you get a good grip on that hole because they put a nice little 45-degree angle in there. I don't know how well you can see that. See that little 45? So what it does is it catches your finger really well, but it doesn't, you don't see like dust spitting off when I flick, right? And that happens a lot on knives with holes or even knives with studs. You'll flick and you'll see like debris fly off because it's so sharp. It catches your finger, right? Another cool feature on this knife is the crown spine. So we have a crown spine from this point forward. So we have a nice flat spine right here for you to rest your thumb on as a thumb ramp. But if you want to ride up further or just for aesthetics there, you have that crown spine all the way out to the tip. I love the swedging right here. Colin added that beautiful swedge. Really cool. The things he added to this knife really just set it off. I basically drew this on a napkin. And it looked a little bit like this. The handle looked absolutely atrocious. And the blade did have a little bit of the poon, but I mean, he added the beautiful swedging there and refined the hole. I had the hole shape pretty good to go, but he refined that and then really went to work on the handle. And this thing came out so comfortable. I'm honestly surprised at how comfortable it is. But yeah, I got skiff bearings in here and a Mokutai backspacer. So that's the micarta version. It is a canvas micarta. It will take your oils. For somebody who has sweaty hands, I tend to not I don't darken micarta well. It like dries right back out for me. But other people I've seen, they handle this for like a day and it's perfect. It's like black. So it's just a matter of your situation. You can obviously oil it if you want, but it's a nice canvas micarta. What I like about it is it's soft, yet it has grip to it. It's not, I don't know, that stuff that you get a lot from like Riot, it looks great, but it's like rock hard, and I don't know. I actually like this stuff a bit better. So that's the stonewashed one. And then real quick, we have this beautiful copper infused carbon fiber version. You guys are now seeing this stuff and the aluminum stuff like everywhere. All of a sudden, everybody's using it. It was just QSP for a while there, but I've seen it now on Wii's and some other like higher end stuff, which is cool. But I'm glad we got to utilize it, at the beginning here before it got kind of bogged down where everybody's using it. But it looks absolutely stunning. The copper pieces, I will say, it can look a little bit, in pictures, it can be like, but in person, I can guarantee you this looks absolutely just stunning. And you look at the swirls down here, the crazy stuff going on. Imagine it's basically like fat carbon. You know how fat carbon has like the swirls of here, I'll grab some. So fat carbon has like the swirls, whatever this stuff is, ceramic paint or whatever it is, in there. And that's essentially what this is. It's just shreds of copper or aluminum foil in that case. So to me, it's like absolutely just fantastic. It's really good stuff. Surprisingly good, honestly. When we chose it, I was not, super excited about it. But once we got it in hand, I was like, oh, this is actually really cool. And I want to give a big props to QSP because we did not choose to get the copper carbon fiber prototype. They made an extra prototype just to show us the copper infused one. And thank God they did because that's why we chose it. So shout out to them. But this is the blackwash one. Mokutai backspacer on here as well. I know some people are going to think that's gaudy, but honestly, it looks fantastic. This is the blackwash blade and the blackwash bolsters. Black hardware all around. Again, unbranded pivot provided. You got a hollow grind on this knife. It comes down to around 18 to 22 thousandths behind the edge. We didn't want it super thin. It is supposed to be something that you could work with if needed. So I know it's going to be a little maybe much for some people, but I think it's perfect for EDC. So that's the Stout, guys. I absolutely love the knife. They came out fantastic. I could definitely critique this for days, but I think my type of critiques are more based on me being the designer and stuff behind the knife versus, what I would say as a reviewer. Plus, it's my knife. I'm not really reviewing it. It's just me talking about it. So that's it for the Stout. Let's talk about the Pelican EDC Lefty here. So this is a full left-handed knife. You don't see this very often, and when you do, it's a weird thing with lefties. You see it a lot where they're in the comments and stuff, and they're asking, are you going to make this in lefty? You're going to do this in lefty, right? And then companies, occasionally they do it. They make a lefty, and then the lefties don't buy it. Then they're like, oh, that's not the model I want. It's like, yeah, but you got to support it so that it keeps happening. And they don't, and then that's why it doesn't happen that often. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword being a lefty and asking for lefty knives. I personally don't really prefer left-handed knives. I'm just so used to right-handed knives at this point that lefty ones feel weird. I'm always locking up this knife because when I try to do the thumb flick, I'm all over the lock bar. But if you hand me a right-handed frame lock, right, with studs, I'll fire that out, no problem. It's like just muscle memory. I've learned where to put my fingers right-handed when flicking. So I can easily do it. And then left-handed, you don't have to worry about the lock bar, which is why I always lock them up when I'm doing it left-handed, because look where my finger is. It's right where a lock bar would be. But it doesn't matter on this knife because it's right-handed. Right here, can't flick it. So it's just a thing. Now, obviously on this, you can do a perfect reverse flick. It's so good. And that's one of the reasons why I do actually really like this knife. They did a fantastic job on this knife. The blade shape, I like that it has a semi-low tip. I did use it, obviously. I cut some shipping labels out a lot, actually. And I cut open some boxes and a little bit of cardboard. And what I found was it's got a lot of belly, and the tip is not very controllable for me. Where I actually was using this knife today. I got to do a review on this sometime soon. I was using this knife to cut shipping labels, and you would think that the Pelican EDC would probably be a better choice, right? Because you have a lower tip, a smaller knife, so you can get more control and cut, right? And the Mordax is a bigger knife, and it's a drop point where you got to get up higher, right? And I don't know if it's because I was up higher that I had more control, but I could cut perfectly straight lines around the shipping labels, no problem with the Mordax. By the way, the problem I'm having with the Mordax is Loctiting it. I have now tried 5 or 6 times and failed. I've super glued it twice, and to no avail. It'll just loosen, and because I can tell, because all of a sudden I have this smidgen of play, and then I can just the pivot will just be loose. Not like loose as in it's like, you know, the blade's all the way over, but loose as in I can just turn it. It's not Loctited or whatever. And I'll loosen it, and then all of a sudden I'll just see all the glue. It'll just be a ring of super glue at the bottom of the pivot screw, just broken off by itself. I've tried Loctite 2 or 3 times now. Literally Loctite it, put it in my refrigerator overnight, then let it sit out for another half a day, and then carried it. And within, you know, 20 flips, it's got that little bit of play, loose pivot. I tried Loctiting it just the last time I tried. I let it sit for 48 hours. Refrigerated it at one point. Like, just let it sit out in my case at one point. 48 hours. And it loosened. This time, this was about 2 hours ago, I think, I used super glue again, but I used a lot. Like, I took a microfiber Q-tip and got some inside the threading. Then I put some on the screw and put it in. So I'm hoping, and I put a good bit on compared to what I normally do. But what I normally do works. Like, I Loctited, or I super glued this Jaeger, and it has never walked on me. I mean, it's been rock solid for, I mean, probably months at this point. I've super glued this Jaeger, same thing, no issue. I super glued this Kansept, no issue. Usually I just let it sit for like 15 minutes. Boom, you're good to go. Like, I don't know what's going on with this thing. And maybe it's just, it's too much power when you flick it out. I don't know. But you can see it's starting to drop shut like that now. And that's telling me that it might be walking again already. Let's see. No, see, it's still rock solid, but that's how it was before. And then, you know, I'll carry it for like an hour and flick it 20 times. And all of a sudden I'm like, God damn it. Because I'm constantly checking for play. But like, so I don't know if I'm just over tightening it and it just does not want to be that tight. But I don't want it to have play, and I want it to be center, because it's basically almost off center. And anything but tight as hell in the pivot makes it off center and have a little bit of play. Like right now it's a rock and it's dead centered and it's still dropped shut. So like, that's perfect. Just stay that way, please. God damn it. I'll tell you otherwise, I absolutely love this knife. This is becoming one of my favorite knives quickly. I will say it has a little bit of lash. That's kind of button locks are, and you can do the rattle, but it's a button lock, so I'm kind of like getting over it. but I kind of want to collect them all. Like, if they make different versions of this year, I kind of want all of them. It's a fantastic knife, and the price point for a USA-made knife. Anyway, sorry. I'll do a separate review on that. This is really good, guys. The ergonomics are fantastic. But what I was getting at is when I was cutting shipping labels, I was kind of swerving a little bit, so it wasn't perfect for that. But it's still really good. And for day-to-day tasks, slicing, cutting into boxes, stuff like that, it was absolutely fantastic. It's such a great size. You know, it's got like, what, a 3-inch blade. Here's the Stout. I think I did this in the unboxing, so I don't want to go nuts. Yeah, I mean, I think it's got about a 3-inch blade on it. Beautiful studs, beautiful blue coloring. I love the bead blast that Kansept does. That sort of silvery, shimmery bead blast is just gorgeous. The action on this thing, I've taken it apart. No, you can't put skiffs in here. The bearings in here are too thin, so the way it's set up. They actually have race washers on each side, and that's why the action is so good. That's something I need to look into, because if it just makes a 3-inch knife drop shut like that with a beautiful detent. I mean, this detent, guys, is no joke. Listen, it's got a click. That's the sound. That nice sticky detent. So it's definitely not a light detent, and that's why it drops shut. I mean, look at this. You know, maybe a shake, and there's no play. One thing I do want to mention, it does have some lock rock. I don't know, maybe it's not lock rock, but like you can feel it vertically just slightly if I do this. Now, it hasn't, you know, I've tried this plenty of times. It hasn't slipped. I mean, even after doing that, no stick or anything. There's never any stick. So I'm not really worried about it. It could just be it needs to break in. It could be a lot of things that I just don't understand. Maybe I need to turn the stop pin a quarter turn. Like, who knows, right? I don't really think it's an issue. I think Kansept absolutely killed it on this one. I have always... You could go back and watch my Pelican EDC reviews when I had the right-handed version when it first came out. I've always liked this design. K Maxron just absolutely crushed it. The ergos on this thing, just the way they're set up, like for my hand, it's just perfection. I mean, it just melts into my hand. Feels so good. The clip design, I mean, it's an absolute beauty, guys. It really is such a good knife. I highly recommend this knife. I need to tell my buddy Preston about this because it's got a nice big lanyard hole down here. Beautiful reverse flick. Gorgeous action. The only thing that would make this better, and I'm normally not a front flipper guy, is like, why didn't they just jimp that? Because, boom. They just had to jimp it, and you'd be front flipping that, no problem. You know? Everything's already set up for it. So it's kind of interesting that they did not do that. This is S35BN, which is fine with me. Beautiful stonewash, nice thin flat grind, comes down to a good edge. Great action, like I said, no stick at all. It's very nice to have a knife that just slides out of the way. It's dead centered. Like, yeah, there's a bit of handle there. They could have done better on that, but I'm not complaining. No lash, nothing. Just a fantastic knife. I really, really like this knife. So that's the Pelican EDC full lefty. If these are available and you're left-handed, get one. I don't say that very often. Like, this is my knife. I'm not even going to say, go get one. You got to get one of my knives. Like, I'm not that guy. You know what I mean? But if you're lefty, you should get one of these because it's going to support more lefty knives. The last knife we have is the Daily Carico Magblade. So I've been over the story on this one where they reached out to me after Blade Show and then were really weird. And like weren't responsive, and I just was like, are you gonna send me the knife you offered to send me? Like, I feel weird about it because like I don't ask for free shit. Like, if I reach out to a company myself, a lot of times they reach out to me, but if I reach out to a company myself, I usually ask for loaners. You know what I mean? I don't need, like, a lot of the stuff that I get in for review, I don't actually want to own it. Like, I just am interested. I want to check it out. Like, I'm not greedy like that. Like, I don't need all these knives. You know what I mean? And if they give them to me, 90% of the time they get given away. I mean, I'm trying to think of a knife. I think a quiet carry, waypoint, and drift I kept for a while. There's very few knives that have been given to me by companies that I end up just keeping. Usually they go into my giveaway bin and you guys get them. You know what I mean? That's probably what will happen to this one. I also send them around a lot to other YouTube channels to review. That's where most of them go, honestly. Like all the Ashers I get sent, Kunwus I get sent. There's a whole bunch of them that I get sent, and then I just send them off to be reviewed by other channels because I feel like that's a good use for them, and I don't need the knives. You know what I mean? Like, unless it's something I really, really, really love or want, you know? Anyway, this is the Magblade. It's cool. It's got some cool factor, right? And that's really where it ends for me. So, like, is it a functional knife? Yes. It has a blade. I believe it's M390, but it's a tank of a blade. Like, I don't know if they did it because of the weight of the blade to help the handle kind of swing around. That's my theory on it. But I mean, it's 0.16 stock, right? On a knife that has a blade. Let me grab the NAFS ruler. Shout out to KPL for providing this. All right, so the blade length is roughly 3 inches, right? And then overall, you're looking at 7 inches, right? So on a 3-inch blade, do you need 0.16 stock with a flat grind that's very short? No. It's you know, it's basically a what's the saying people always say about a knife? You know what I'm getting at. A thick stock knife, pry bar. It's a sharpened pry bar, which is dumb in my opinion. If you're gonna make something like this, make it EDCable. Make it like a good EDC knife. That would be great. You know. Okay. But does it cut? Yes, it will cut. It has a Tanto. I did cut some shipping labels with that Tanto tip. It worked. It worked. It's got a decent satin blade on it. It's got titanium handles. I do think the price point was like $200 or something. With M390 and titanium, yeah, there's not much else going on other than magnets. So, like, I don't know. That seems pricey, but I've seen other people review this, and they had discount codes, because I guess they actually, like, talked to the owner or whatever. So you can get, like, 25% off or something with some codes. I think OCD for EDC had one, and I forget who else had one, but Big Red, maybe? You could check it out. So it's more reasonable with those prices. My biggest gripe with it is it doesn't have a clip. Like, if it just had a clip and sort of locked, I think this would be cool. Like, I would be much more excited about this if it had a clip, because as is, what am I going to do with it? Like, the only thing I can do is put it in a pouch, and I just don't have a pouch that's that big. Like, the ones I carry are like this big, and it doesn't fit. No, put it away the wrong thing. So, I don't know. I wanted to get into it. I wanted to like it. I do have another knife coming that's similar. So I pre-ordered a knife on Kickstarter called the Oval Moon, I think. And it's a D-Rocket design. And it's literally the same design. I mean, the same concept. They have the 2 magnets at the bottom. The handle flips around. It locks in like this. Flips back around like this. Locks in like that. Same exact design. No clip. But it's a smaller knife. So I'm hoping it somehow is better. But I pre-ordered that at Blade Show, and I didn't realize that this was the same kind of thing. I didn't even know this existed at the time. So that's interesting. But yeah, no clip kind of sucks. What I think would work is if you put a clip on this side, and then you just had a little latch. Like, have a little locking thingy right here that you just, like, not like a balisong, but like a little slide release. Like, if I go click, it'll slide over, and then unlock it, and then it'll kind of like slide back in or something like that, right? That way, you know, you could have I'm guessing it doesn't have a clip because it doesn't lock fully. So, like, maybe they were worried it would open in somebody's pocket with the clip. Like, if it's on this side, it could open up like this in your freaking pocket. You know, if the clip's on this side, the same thing could happen, right? So I don't know if that was the thinking. So if you had the clip and then some kind of lock up here so it couldn't, or just have a spine lock or something. I don't know. I think that would work. Like a version 2 with that, I think would kind of work. But action-wise, yeah, it's okay. It's kind of a two-hander. You kind of want to do this and then open it around and do this, right? Yes, you can easily one-hand it. I mean, I've learned to do it. I'm trying to think which one's a safe handle. Let me just think. It's this one. So what you do is you kind of do it upside down like this, pop it like that, right? You can see the spine is right here. So you just hold it like this. You can't cut yourself, right? Because you're on that spine. And then you just kind of flip it around like this. And the blade always has to be lined up with this handle. It can't go past this point right here on this handle. So you just grab this handle and pop it, right? And then when you're done, flip it around like this, swing it down, pop it. So you just kind of, you're basically just learning how to use a balisong. But if you follow this handle with the backspacer, you can't cut yourself. See what I mean? It tends to stick right there, but I did take this apart, and it's definitely not as smooth as it was before I took it apart. So I will take fault for that. Whatever they do, however they tune it, it was better. There's a little bit of play. I was trying to get rid of that. There's also a little bit of vertical play. But it was smoother like in this, like right here, this. That was smoother before. But otherwise it's the same. I tried to get it centered, couldn't. But yeah, I mean, it has its sort of cool factor. I think it's interesting, for sure. Would it be something cool to just have like around and like a talking piece or something? Yeah, I think it would be. So I get it. I just wanted to talk about it for a second. You know, I don't hold anything against the Daily Carico. It was just a super weird interaction. It really was, guys. I don't know. Like, everybody has off moments or whatever, but this was like over months. This is just the weirdest DMs. Like, I'm just like, hey, you were going to send this thing. Oh, it's in the shipping process. I'm like, okay. And then nothing. And then somebody else I know gets one and is reviewing it. And then I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm following up. I would follow up because I'd see a video and I'd be like, oh, yeah, that thing. And I'd reach out. And after like 4 or 5 tries, I was just like, hey, I don't know what the deal is. Like, if you saw a video and were like, fuck this guy, he can blast stuff. You know what I mean? Like, he's not worth sending one to. That's fine. Just tell me. Just tell me. Just be like, hey, your content doesn't line up. It's, you know, I'm not going to hold a grudge because of that. I'll hold a grudge if you ghost me. And so I finally was like, okay, just forget it. Like, I don't understand what happened here. Just as a reminder, you hit me up. I didn't hit you up. You hit me up, and then now you're being weird. Like, it's just fucking strange. So, yeah, don't worry about it. Whatever. And then I never got a response to that. It just, my messages would just be seen. And I fucking hate when people do that. It'd just be seen, but no response. And then this shows up. So, like, maybe it was in process to ship that whole time, and finally it shipped, and they didn't even realize or something. Or they made it happen after that last message and never responded. But, like, communication, guys. Communication is key. And my issue, the reason I tell you all that, because, yes, it's petty shit. I'm not actually upset about it or anything. And why am I telling you? Because if they can't even communicate with somebody that they reached out to, that they wanted to send their product to because they wanted me to promote this. That's what it was about. It wasn't, you know, like they wanted me to promote this so I could help sell it for them, right? But if they can't even communicate with me on a DM on Instagram over months, can't just have a conversation at some point. Like, I tried so hard to just have a conversation. I'm like, okay, you know, and then I'd ask a question, like, are they made in the U.S.? Never got an answer on that. You know, when will they be shipping? Never got an answer on that. You know, I'd also like to check out your toothpick, because they asked what I wanted to check out. And I was like, I'll check out the Magblade and the toothpick. Never got an answer on that. Like, just very strange communication. Seen messages for however long until I responded again weeks later asking about an update. So I would just be a little leery. Like, what if you got one and you had a warranty issue? You know? So is it cool? Yeah, it is cool. So I'm not going to sit here and say this thing is trash or whatever. It's not. It's actually built really well. It's cool. It's just the design, the overall sort of function of it that isn't for me. But if it's for you, it is made well, all that good stuff. You can get one for a decent price, you know. The magnets are really good, really strong. You'll see the blade kind of like hangs up on it. Watch. See? The blade will hang on that. I think it's meant to. And then it gets to this point, breaks free, because it's at the 50%. It's at this point, and then you close it up, and then when you swing it back around, matches up, pops out, follows that handle, swing around, boom. So I don't know. I think it's cool. I do. Design sort of sleek and shit. It's got its place somewhere, you know. So that's everything about this that I can fucking think of. By the way, there's a bearing and a washer underneath this side, I believe. No, this side, which is what I have not working properly right now. Let's take a look at it. And I'm guessing it's because that arm swings around, so they put a bearing and a washer under there. It's just super interesting to me. See? There's a bearing and a washer. And I just wonder if I put it in wrong or something. See, it rides on that too. It's interesting. Maybe it just needs some lube. I didn't even think of that. Let's just give her the old lube treatment. I did, by the way, I did try swapping it out before some of you go, could you put a skiff in there? I did a video on it, actually, disassembling this. And, yes, I tried skiffs inside the knife and inside this thing, I think. It did not work. Too thick or whatever, you know. Alright, let's try that. That's probably what it was. It just needed some lube because I probably cleaned it all out when I did the disassembly, right? It's like rubbing right here. Yeah, look at that. Is that right? I think it's smoother now. Let me just take a look underneath. Whoops. Fuck it, right? Just gonna make sure I got lube all up in this bitch. There we go. And then I'm going to clean off that handle too. Oh, and you see that? Stop pin thing is like riding in there. Okay. It's just so cool how it pops together like that. That was the side, yeah. See, there's the marks. So maybe I have it a little too tight. Yeah, that's a lot smoother. It's hard. You can't just like, you can't just work the action. Like, I want to work the bearings and, you know. This is like just free falling now. You know. So that's good. And then this side is still got that grit to it. I don't know. That's because it's rubbing. I think it's just the tolerance on this one's off. You can see it's way over to that side. So, but it's definitely cool. Good to go. I'm going to shut up now, guys. I've really rambled about this. I love you guys. Let me know what you think down below about the Magblade, the Pelican EDC, and the Divo Stout. So, I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic day, and I will catch you later.